Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Governor Dan Malloy.
We got some work to do, and we got a special guest who's going to come out in a little while. There's the guy from the ad. Best TV ad made, right there. I want to remind you, folks, that everything you're doing is being seen by other people. I just want to make sure you know that. Hey, listen, it is great to be here. It's certainly great to have the president join us just a couple of days after the most important person in the country joined us, Michelle. And the president is fired up and ready to go and wants to speak to all of you, and I'm so very proud that he would take time out of his schedule to stop here in Connecticut. But I also have to say we're joined by our United States Senators Blumenthal and Murphy, Congressman Jim Himes is with us. Rosa DeLauro is with us. Mayor Bill Finch is with us. We have all of our great constitutional officers who have joined us as well. And we have the best lieutenant governor in the entire United States, Nancy Wyman. Go ahead, Nancy. You know, in America, we have an obligation to make sure that everyone shares in our success. Not just the wealthy or those who've made their own wealth, or for that matter, those who were born into wealth, but that everybody has a shot at success. That everybody understands that they can raise their children to exceed their own dreams. That's the America that we grew up in. And that's the America that took such a hit in the downturn in the economy. And that's the America that we are rebuilding together here in Connecticut and elsewhere in this country. A place where a rising tide, in fact, does raise all boats, is what we want in Connecticut. I don't have to remind you of all of our successes. 70,000 private sector jobs having been created, 14,000 jobs in small businesses, 25,000 more jobs expected to be created next year. We saved United Technologies and Pratt Whitney engines in the state of Connecticut. I'm proud of that. Understand this, while other Republican governors in these United States cut funding to education, what did we do in Connecticut? We added money to educate our young people. And as a result, places like Bridgeport are seeing a 12% increase in graduation rates. We are seeing success on a multi-generational basis, and we should be proud of that. Healthcare and Nancy Wyman go together. She did the best job. She did the best job of implementing the ACA, President Obama's signature legislation. We should be proud that we cut the uninsured rate in the state of Connecticut in half in a 2-year period of time, and that 280,000 people now have health care because of the system that we built together. What did we do in this state? We were the first state to pass paid sick days. The concept that someone shouldn't be required to go to work when they're sick. We certainly understand that now in light of everything that's happening in our world. But we did it first in 2011. We've been joined by California. We're being joined by Massachusetts. We're seeing the lowest unemployment rate in 6 years. We're seeing balanced budgets with surpluses. We're seeing ourselves rebuild a rainy day fund with $520 million now deposited in it. We should be proud of the things that we're doing together. The sacrifices we were called on to make are in fact making us stronger every single day. That's who we are, and that's what we are here in Connecticut. And then when the president called for raising the minimum wage, we responded, first in the nation to raise the minimum wage, $10.10. But be sure that you understand that elections are about the future, and that elections have consequences. All of the things I just mentioned, every single one of them would not happen if we didn't come together 4 years ago to make sure that we maximized our participation rate in our urban environments as well as our small cities. We're getting people to the polls on this Tuesday, are we not? We need to keep building on our future, adding jobs in our urban environments, raising our expectations with respect to education, raising up a generation of people who have the skill set necessary to compete with 49 other states and the rest of the industrialized world, making transportation investments that are long overdue in our state, making sure that higher education has the assets and the money necessary to properly educate in those institutions as well. That's what this election is about, and we cannot afford to lose this election. The man I am running against has spent his life hurting the middle class. You know the stories about companies bought and companies bankrupted while he made millions and millions of dollars. You know the stories of how he would break a strike. He would hire dogs, he'd hand out hatchets, and he would close down work sites. You understand that you have to pay your taxes. This is a man who has not paid federal income tax in 3 years and not disclosed a single year of state tax returns. We know that this is not Tom Foley's Connecticut. This is our Connecticut, a Connecticut we share with one another. Barack Obama he came to our state to be with us today. And I haven't done this before publicly, but let me share with you what happened on a December afternoon in a town just a few miles from here. On that day, as you know, I went down to Newtown and saw the devastation that had been wrought and tried to console individuals and bring folks together in response. I received a phone call from the president that day, and he expressed his concern and his desire that we be well and wanted to understand the gravity of the situation. I said, Mr. President, I don't know enough about the situation right now. I'm not prepared to make a public statement. And he said, well, that's fine, Mr. Governor, I'll wait as well. You take care of what you have to do where you are. That's the most important thing. Of course, we subsequently learned the full ravages of that day, the babies that were lost, the adults who died trying to save those babies. He came to our state just a few days later, and he gave one of the most compelling speeches about who we are and what we are and how we will survive even the worst days of our lives. He cared about us, and he urged us on. And we responded in our own way, supporting those families, supporting that community, and yes, we turned to writing the toughest gun laws in the nation, and I'm proud of that. Make no mistake about this election. This election is in part about that situation and how we responded. I will never, ever, ever sign a repeal of that legislation which has made our state a safer place. Anyone who knows what happened and still says that it wasn't about guns and we should repeal those laws does not deserve to be the governor of the state of Connecticut. This president, our president, has done so many great things, building jobs month after month, the longest continuous growth in jobs in our nation's history. He has fought for and won the battle to make sure that our people can in fact be insured. He has put pressure on all of us to hold ourselves to a higher standard when it comes to educating our young people. He has told us we need to do a better job taking care of our senior citizens. He is, after all, our president. He is of us. And so it gives me great pride. It gives me great pride to introduce in my home state the President of the United States, Barack Obama.
Bridgeport! Are you fired up? Give it up for Dan Malloy, your outstanding governor. It's good to be back in Connecticut. Give it up for your Lieutenant Governor, Nancy Wyman. Your outstanding senators, Dick Blumenthal, Chris Murphy. Your representatives, Joe Courtney, Rosa DeLauro, Jim Himes, Elizabeth Esty, even though she couldn't be here today, and your mayor, Bill Finch. And thanks for having me at Central. Go Hilltoppers. I gotta say, the Hilltoppers made me feel very welcome. Yeah, they had all kinds of stuff up on the wall. Yeah, welcome President Obama. We love you, President Obama. They had a big painting somebody had made, which was very good. Although I noticed like the mole on my nose was really prominent. It's like there's a big circle right there. So Connecticut, 2 days. 2 days. 2 days, and you get to choose the governor who will lead you for the next 4 years. I can't vote in Connecticut, but I'll tell you who I'd vote for. I'd want Dan Malloy leading us for another 4 years. Four more years. 4 more years. 4 more years. Now, what that means, since it seems like y'all agree with me, what that means is you've got to grab your friends. You got to grab your classmates. You got to grab your coworkers. You got to knock on some doors. You got to make some phone calls. You need to visit iwillvote.com. You've got to find your polling place, and then you've got to take everybody you know to cast their ballot for Dan Malloy. See, I'm assuming if you took time to come to the rally that you're going to vote. Unless you thought the basketball season started early and you showed up thinking there was a game. But here's why it's so important for you to get other people to vote. I love you. I appreciate you too. Thank you. Thank you. So hold on, young lady. Hold on a second. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. You're a dreamer, and I gave you relief administratively, and we're going to work on the next one. The Republicans are blocking immigration reform. That's one more reason why we need a Democratic Senate. So I support you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. And you need to go protest the Republicans, because I'm not the one blocking it. So, now let me talk about Dan Malloy. Dan Malloy won a tough election last time. He took office facing record job losses, massive deficits, the worst recession in decades. But he took on a tough challenge. He made the tough calls. And while it has not always been easy, and it has not always been without sacrifice, there is progress here in Connecticut to be proud of. You've had the fastest job growth in decades. You've had the lowest unemployment rate in 5 years. A budget that is actually balanced. A rainy day fund that is actually funded. And thanks to leaders like Dan, shame on you. Listen, here's the good thing about a democracy is everybody can speak. As I've said before, it's always ironic that the folks who are shouting don't understand that we actually support their issue. The folks who don't support the issue are the ones who are voting against Dan Malloy. So they need to go to the other rally and focus on them. Where was I? I was talking about 4 more years. Thank you. All right, let's try it again. You've got leaders like Dan with the kind of commitment to working families that Connecticut needs. And thanks to him, and thanks to the grit and the resilience of the American people, the country as a whole has made real progress. You think about when I came into office, we were seeing the worst economic crisis in our lifetimes. Unemployment was about 800,000 per month. We were losing jobs. And over the past 4.5 years, America has created more than 10 million new jobs. We've created more jobs than Japan, Europe, and all the advanced countries combined. Over the past 6 months, our economy has grown at the fastest pace in more than 10 years. There's almost no economic measure where we are not doing better now than when Dan took office or when I took office. But Bridgeport, we're here today because Dan and I and all the congressional delegation here, they understand we've got more work to do. We've got more work to do to make sure that all kids grow up in an America where it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you came from, what your last name is, who you love. What matters is, are you willing to work hard? Are you willing to take responsibility? Because if you are, you deserve to be able to make it in America. That's what the American dream's all about. So when you cast that vote on Tuesday, you've got a choice to make. It's more than a choice between candidates or political parties. That's okay. It's a choice. It's a choice that we got to make. Hold on a second, everybody. Quiet down. It's a choice that we've got to make between two very different visions of America. And by the way, I just want to say, because we've now had like 3 folks, I am sympathetic to those who are concerned about immigration. Because the truth of the matter is that we're a country of immigrants. That's why, that's why we fought for immigration reform. It's the other party that's blocked it. Unfortunately, folks get frustrated, and so they want to yell at everybody. And I understand that. But this is part of why elections are so important, because we do have 2 different visions of America. Now, the vision I have, the vision Dan has, is one that embraces immigrants. The other side has a very different vision, which is why they've blocked legislation that would solve it. And so, in all these issues, it comes down to a very simple issue. Who's going to fight for your future? Who is going to fight on your behalf? You know, Republicans, listen, Republicans are patriots. They love their country. They love their family. No, they do. You know, there's some good folks. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Hold on a second. Here's the thing. This is a rowdy crowd today. But here's the thing. Hold on, quiet down. Listen, just because folks are good folks doesn't mean they've got good ideas. I was telling folks in Wisconsin the other day, I've got some family members who I love, but they got bad ideas. So I don't want them in charge of anything. Some of them will be over for Thanksgiving. And I'll hug them and I'll give them a piece of pie, but I wouldn't want to put them in charge. And that's sort of what we got going with the Republican Party right now. Because they just keep on offering a theory of the economy, time and time again, that has undermined the middle class. It's not like we haven't tried it, we tried it. Tax breaks for folks who don't need them at the very top. Fewer investments in things like education. Looser rules on big banks or polluters. Cutting the safety net for folks if they fall on hard times. We tried all that stuff. It did not work. And so we don't want to go back to that vision. And Dan has a very different vision for what the future looks like. It's a vision rooted in the conviction that in America, prosperity never trickles down from the top. It grows from a rising, thriving middle class. It grows because we give folks ladders into the middle class. We believe in an economy that grows for the many, not just for the few. And Dan, this is personal for him. We were talking on the helicopter ride over. It was a little windy. But Dan was talking about sort of what it meant growing up with a learning disability and having a few people there who believed in him and fought for him, and some resources that were given so that he could show really what he could do. And you know, you don't lose that sense of being the underdog. You don't lose that sense of somebody else giving you a hand up. And that's what his politics are based on. He's not running to cut his own taxes. He's running to cut taxes for that single mom who needs a little help with her child care. He's not looking to give advantages to big corporations who already have lobbyists looking out for him. He's running to fight for you. And he knows that ideas should be judged not on whether they're Democratic or Republican, but on whether they work or not. And we believe in this country that education isn't just the key to economic growth, it's the surest path into the middle class. And while some governors are saying tough luck to parents who can't afford to send their kids to private schools, Dan's worked to invest in our public schools, just like this one, to bring down the cost of higher education, to make college a reality for young people. That's what Dan believes, because it worked in his own life. We believe in access to affordable health care, that it's not a privilege, it's a right. There are governors out there who've kept hardworking Americans from getting health insurance. Dan's expanded Medicaid to tens of thousands of folks here in Connecticut. They didn't have health insurance before, now they have it. There's some governors out there who've been trying to keep the Affordable Care Act from working. Dan's helped to create one of the best marketplaces in the country and cut the numbers of people without health insurance in Connecticut in half. And this shouldn't be a blue or a red issue. This shouldn't be a Democratic or Republican issue. This is an American issue. Why would you run on a platform of giving fewer people health insurance? That doesn't make any sense. Dan believes that in America, nobody who works full-time should ever have to raise their family in poverty. Not all governors believe that. You had one Republican governor claim that the minimum wage serves no purpose. Tell that to all the folks who are struggling to get by. Dan understands it makes a difference. He knows the difference it can make to that hard-working mom or dad who's trying to make ends meet. While some folks in this state try to come up with an excuse to oppose minimum wage increases, Dan fought to give Connecticut a raise. That's what he fought for. That's what he believed. Earlier this year, I went to New Britain with Dan and 3 other New England governors. We had lunch at a sandwich shop where the owners paid their employees a living wage of at least $10 an hour. A few weeks later, Dan became the first governor in the country to sign a law lifting the minimum wage in this state to $10.10 an hour, and 130,000 hardworking folks across Connecticut got the raise they deserve. We believe in an America where we do better when women are full and equal participants in our economy. We've had some issues in Washington with Republicans saying no to a national fair pay law. We had one Republican running for national office right now who said, and I'm quoting, "You could argue that money is more important for men." I don't know who he was talking to. He wasn't talking to Michelle. If we're going to strengthen the middle class for the 21st century, then we need leaders with a 21st century mindset. They need to understand that women need to get paid fairly. Let's make sure that every woman is getting paid the same for doing the same job. And let's make sure every woman controls her own health care choices, not her boss and not some politician. Republicans are funny. You know, if you ask them, do they believe in climate change, they say, "I'm not a scientist." If you ask them, does a woman have a right to make her own health care choices, suddenly they're all doctors. You know, when women succeed, America succeeds. We've got to understand that. And so you can't support candidates who think that Mad Men is not just a good show, but a model for how to behave. We need a different approach. Look, so here's the bottom line, Connecticut. The biggest corporations, they don't need another champion. The wealthiest Americans don't need another champion. You do. You need somebody to fight for you. You need somebody who understands that opportunity, opening up opportunity for all people is what Connecticut's about. Opportunity for all. But none of that happens unless you go vote. If you want something better, you've got to vote for it. If you believe working families need more tax breaks, not millionaires, you got to vote for it. If you think we should be investing in our kids' schools and in early childhood education and making college more affordable, you got to vote for it. You know, I meet so many young people who've got an opportunity to do better, but they aren't getting the kind of stuff that they need. So the question is, are we going to vote? Yeah, you can't say we're going to give an honest day's pay for an honest day's work and then not vote. You can't say, well, Dan Malloy's doing a good job and then not vote. 4 years ago, Dan won the governor's race by just 4 votes per precinct. 4 votes. Because of those 4 extra votes, 130,000 Connecticut workers got a raise. Because of those 4 votes, Connecticut families gained access to health insurance to take care of their kids. Those 4 votes helped cut your uninsured rate in half. Put Connecticut on a path for universal pre-K for every child. Brought your unemployment rate down. So your vote matters. Don't let people tell you it doesn't. On Tuesday, your vote will determine the course for Connecticut. So we need your vote. But we need, more importantly, the vote of your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. Go talk to one of the organizers in this room. Or go to danmalloy2014.com. Volunteer these last couple of days. Make some phone calls. Knock on some doors. Grab everybody you know. Get them out to vote. Don't stay home. Don't let somebody else choose your future for you. You know, look, the hardest thing in politics is changing the status quo. And it's even harder when folks in power are ignoring what you have to say and seem to not really be listening to ordinary families. And then the media is feeding you, information that says, well, it's not going to make a difference. This is how it's going to be. And so you get cynical. You don't think you're going to make a difference. You don't get involved. You don't organize. You don't vote. And I'm here to tell you, don't buy it. Despite all the cynicism, America is making progress. Despite unyielding opposition, there are workers who have jobs today that didn't have it before, their families who have health insurance today that didn't have it before, their kids going to college today that didn't have the opportunity to go to college before. There are troops who were in Afghanistan who are now home with their families because of your vote. Cynicism didn't put a man on the moon. Cynicism has never won a war or cured a disease or built a business or fed a young mind. Cynicism is a choice, and hope is a better choice. Hope is what gave young people the strength to march for civil rights and voting rights and women's rights and workers' rights and gay rights and immigrants' rights. Hope is what put a man on the moon. Hope is what defeated fascism. Hope is what America's all about. hope in better days, hope in building up a middle class, hope in handing down something better to our kids. That's why you have to vote. That's what Dan Malloy believes. That's what you have to remember on Tuesday, November 4th. Thank you. God bless you. God bless America.